Welcome to CoolerNathi's feature hashtag Open Up the Industry. This hashtag has caused quite a stir on Twitter, and we decided let's hop on and assist in actually opening up the industry. Today we've got Kelefilwe on Open Up the Industry. So just to start us off, Kelefilwe, just give us a little bit of background on who you are, what you studied, and where you come from.
Okay. So I'm from Pretoria, born and bred in Pretoria, and I studied Actuarial Science at the University of Pretoria, and I did both my undergraduate degree and my honours degree there, and thereafter I started working at Liberty, and I've been there for 3.5 years now, and in 2017 I completed my actuarial board exams.
Wow, snaps. That's 15 exams, you must say.
Yeah.
15. Okay. I'm certain we can agree that music has an all-uniting power. I'm yet to meet anyone who hates music. So just tell us what song or artist are you currently jamming to?
I'm actually listening to Amapiano at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I find their jams quite nice, yeah.
Okay. So what is Actuarial Science?
Basically, Actuarial Science is a mathematical discipline that applies both statistical and mathematical methods to basically manage risk. An actuary is a professional that uses these mathematical and statistical skills to basically solve complex and business and financial problems that typically involve uncertainty and financial risk.
Mm. We all know that Actuarial Science has one of the highest admission requirements. How did you get in?
I think because I worked hard. Typically, I think these universities require you to have a distinction in mathematics and really good English marks. So I made those criteria. So I was a top performer at my school, and I really loved math. So yeah.
And why did you decide this was the route you wanted to go? And did you commit to it in high school or after? How did you decide?
I really loved maths. It was my favorite subject at school, and I found out about actuarial science in grade 11. I was doing a program at tax at that point, and then I met somebody who actually told me about the profession. And I thought it was really quite cool because the first thing they told me was that it involves a lot of maths and solving problems, which is my passion. And then I started researching about it, and then I was like, this is quite a cool thing to do because it incorporates the thing that I loved the most at that point, which was maths. And I also like the fact that it has business application, so you're not just crunching numbers, but you actually use those numbers to make some sort of impact.
Okay. And what are some other jobs that an actuarial scientist can do?
Basically, we can work almost anywhere. Given the skills that we get through our rigorous exam process, we kind of get skills that enable us to solve complex problems in whatever shape or form that they come in. So we are able to use those skills and transfer them in any industry. So we can work literally almost anywhere. Currently, the bulk of actuaries work in the so-called traditional actuarial areas, which are mostly insurance and pensions, but we've got actuaries now actually moving into wider fields. So you have actuaries working for the big 4 consulting firms, for example, the actuaries working in asset management, in banking. There's actually an actuary who's aboard in a construction company, which is quite interesting. So our skills are actually transferable in a lot of spaces, so you could literally work anywhere.
Okay, and what motivated you to actually take a job at your current workplace and not at a bank or any other financial institution?
Initially, I actually wanted to work for a consulting firm because I thought that was cool, the way they had marketed the consulting space to us when I was in varsity was quite cool. But I ended up working for an insurer, and I'm actually not looking back. Yeah. I really enjoy what I do. What I love the most about my role is that we're actually making a difference. So all this number crunching and the financial modeling that we do enable my company to meet its policyholder promises. So we're not just working just to get a number out, but we're actually making sure that the business remains stable, that the end policyholder can get their promises met in 10 to 50 years from now.
What excites you about your job?
I think, as I've mentioned, the fact that I've got to make an impact in somebody's lives. Although I'm not necessarily customer facing, the work that I do actually has an impact, and I love the fact that I get to solve problems every day. No day is actually the same, so there are different problems that I get to solve every day. And I also love the fact that I get to interact with a lot of people in my role.
Okay. Yeah. And what would surprise the viewers about what actuaries do?
I think the fact that we don't sit at a desk all day, I think would be quite surprising, because I think people typically think that we sit behind a desk all day crunching numbers on an Excel workbook, but it doesn't. Our job doesn't only stop there. I think the numbers and the financial modeling are the backbone of what we do, but our job doesn't stop there. So we are able to use the numbers that we come up with to make business sense of the numbers. So we actually drive business actions with the numbers that we calculate. And we've got strategic skills that enable companies to plan forward and look into the future in terms of this is the kinds of things that we should be looking at now. So we're not necessarily just sitting behind a desk all day crunching numbers, but we actually make an impact in whatever space that we're working in.
Okay. And how much of your work are you client facing and maybe traveling?
As I've mentioned, I'm not necessarily client facing. I work kind of like with the back end in the company, so I don't face the end customer who buys a policy from my company, but I do work with various stakeholders in the role that I'm currently doing, internal and external stakeholders. Yeah.
Okay. And how much group work is involved, or do you mostly work independently?
It's a lot. So there's a lot of group work that I do, because we kind of need to make sure that the numbers are communicated properly. So I work with a lot of people, and my team is also in the context of a bigger team and the business as a whole. So we do work in teams and the broader business.
Okay. Creativity is one of the top skills employers are seeking currently. How much creativity is involved in your job?
I think there is creativity involved in my job, because the problems that we solve are not always structured. So sometimes I come across unstructured, complex problems and little information. So the challenge is always to work with limited information to solve a complex problem. So that requires you to be creative in the models that you build, in the assumptions that you make, and ultimately finding a creative solution to the problem that you're facing. Yeah.
Okay. And are actuarial scientists well sought out in South Africa?
Yes. So currently there's just over 1,500 qualified fellows of the Actuarial Society of South Africa. In a population of about 55 million people in South Africa, I think we're quite a scarce profession. So I think our skills are sought after and are quite scarce, because of the fact that our skills are transferable in any industry. I think we are sought after, and the fact that we are a profession that thinks long term. So we don't think about what's currently happening in isolation. We also think about what does this mean in 20, 30 years to come. And I think our skills enable us to assist businesses and organizations to plan for the future, given the context that they are in at the moment.
Yeah. And in terms of transformation, in your field, are we moving? Are we headed into the right direction?
I think definitely we are in the right direction. I think there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think we're definitely in the right direction.
Okay. And I'm a young person, for example, who loves math and science. I'm highly analytical, and problem solving gives me wings. Why should I choose to be an actuary versus an engineer, a mathematician, etc.?
I think because actuaries are cool. And also I think because of the skills that you gain through studying actuarial science and kind of progressing with your qualification, it gives you actuarial science compared to other professions, kind of like this, the training gives you a long-term kind of thinking process. So we don't just think about what's happening now. We think about, given what's happening now, what does this mean for me or for the business going forward? I think our skills are, as I've mentioned a lot of times already, that they're quite transferable. For example, if you're a doctor, you're quite limited in terms of where you can. If you have specialized, you're quite limited in terms of the spaces that you can operate. But if you're an actuary, you can work in the Department of Education, for example, you can work for a bank, or you can work for a construction company. So there isn't really a limit to where you can actually apply your skills and your knowledge to actually make an impact. And I think the fact that we get to solve all these interesting and complex problems, for me, it just gives me that drive, and it keeps me engaged and motivated, and me coming back to my job the next day. Yeah.
And in your opinion, do you think you need to have a certain kind of personality in order to pursue actuarial sciences?
Not necessarily. I think the one thing is kind of determination, because we've got a lot of exams that we need to write, and they're not always easy, and you're bound to stumble along the way. It's about that ability to get back up again and kind of pursue this. I think ultimately you need to have a passion for what you're doing in order to succeed. Yeah.
Let's talk money without giving too much away. What is the earning potential of an actuary?
I think actuaries have quite high earning potential. I'm not going to talk numbers here because it really depends on where you're at and where you're working, and what you want ultimately for your career. But I think if you Google highest paying professions, I think actuaries kind of are in that list somewhere. So I think the earning potential is quite high.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to play a quick game just to wrap it up a bit. You're only allowed to pick one. Okay. Number 1, chocolates or sweets?
Sweets.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy.
Why? What's your favorite comedy show or movie?
Now I need to think.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Okay. Winter or summer?
Winter.
No water or no electricity?
No electricity.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Sandals or sneakers?
Sandals.
Text message or phone call?
Definitely text.
Book or movie?
Book.
What are you reading currently?
The Yearning. Yeah.
Okay. Love or money?
Love.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.